Welcome, everybody, to the Swiss Army Man podcast, episode number 7. I am recording while on my drive home. I figured these are times that I really like to kind of just think out loud and talk randomly. So I figured maybe I'll something good will come out of it. Today is the day after Halloween. So it is the 1st of November, and tomorrow, on the 2nd of November, through the first day of January, I'm doing a hardcore no-cheat diet, keto, adding in exercise, like real exercise for the first time, so like airtight diet and exercise, and I'm going to put myself into the best shape of my life, hopefully. I've been on this journey of losing weight for about a year and a half. Lost quite a bit and then added a little bit back on, lost a little bit, and just kind of hovering around where I'm at right now. For a while, starting last month, I started getting myself back into keto, and then off and on, have a couple cheats and stuff like that. But knew that this was going to be kind of like the second of the 3 phases of to end out the last quarter of the year and put myself into a better physical fitness level. I had a couple things sort of come up that have kind of messed with my brain quite a bit. Kind of having a sort of a mental health day today, really bad, where it's I just don't know, kind of in a funk. I don't know if it's the weather. I don't know if it's the fact that I had a therapy appointment yesterday. Just life in general, but just kind of been a little bit down today, and wasn't really sure I could handle. Maybe part of it's going into this strenuous diet and exercise, that routine that I'm going to put myself into. Maybe that's part of it. Maybe that's put me into a pretzel. Or maybe it's just everything all put together. I had a couple of unfortunate things happen in the last little bit. I found out a couple of my relatives have cancer. Put me in a little bit of a pickle. One of them is my cousin, who's basically the same age as I am. He's a little bit older than me by about 5-6 months, and really just messed with my brain a little bit. Put myself into a spot where you kind of see that could be you, and cancer's such a thing where you just you don't really see it coming. I mean, it kind of happens for some certain reason that no one quite knows about all the time, and why somebody gets it at 20, or why somebody gets it at 30, or why somebody gets it at 40, or why somebody gets it at 50, or why somebody doesn't get it. You just never know. You have the same genes or similar genes, and kind of come up with not having any rhyme or reason for it. So kind of caught me off guard a little bit, and made me start thinking, obviously, of my own mortality and stuff like that, and my own deep-seated issues of stuff, and so kind of in a little bit of a mental pretzel when it comes to that kind of stuff. Then on top of that, obviously, I think I've mentioned it on my Twitter quite a few times, but I just had a fender bender. Somebody rear-ended me. Ended up doing quite a bit of damage to my car and totaled it. It's a drivable car, so I'm keeping it. But I just had to to pick that up, and then we had Halloween, and we had to get the kids ready and all that kind of stuff. Yesterday was like kind of like a blitzkrieg of a day, just kind of like go from the time I woke up to the time I went to bed. So it was just all over the place yesterday. The highs and lows of the day, I think just maybe took it out of me. But that's wanted to be pretty, when I started this podcast, part of it was I wanted to be very open and honest and raw about like who I am and what I go through and life and the goods and the bads, because I think a lot of people just show the very, very, very positive things or the awesome things or like sort of fabricated positive things online and social media, and life's not always just happy and stuff. Sometimes it's you have those days, and today's one of those for me. So doesn't mean I'm not fun. I'm still fun, right? So we'll move on from that, but wanted to really like get back on here and like bring some value to some things, and talk about some things that obviously I find interesting. One of the things that I didn't get to talk about yet is the Nationals winning the World Series, which was pretty cool. I know not everybody's a huge fan of baseball, but we got a 7-game series. That was pretty dang awesome. And a lot of drama, the Nationals were down in every elimination game. You had not a single home win by any of the teams in the World Series. Like, crazy stuff happened like that. For me, it was a little bit more personal as well, because Ryan Zimmerman, who plays for the Nationals, played at my rival high school. We also played in like AAUs and summer leagues and stuff against each other. So it's really cool to see him go out and achieve a really cool accomplishment with a team that hadn't won a title in a long time, and for him to be their first official draft pick as they became the Washington Nationals and been on that team that whole time, and then come all the way around and had highs and lows in his career, and come out here and get a World Series ring is really cool. We're the same age, also, so it's kind of a weird place for me. I worked really hard to make myself the best person I could be and best like athlete I could be in high school going into college. And I worked really hard, and I went to college and I played baseball, and I tore my arm up quite a bit. And in tearing my arm up quite a bit, I kind of I didn't fall out of love with baseball, but it was hard to watch for a long time, because I was like, I see guys that I know playing at that level, and so that was tough for me. And so to come full circle and like realize, like, obviously, like when you're not 20 years old and the thing that you think you were going to do possibly for a career is gone, and you have to figure out your life, that makes it a little harder than when you're 36 and you can kind of look back and realize that like you've achieved things in your life and have more out there to live for. I mean, I have 3 wonderful kids who are incredibly awesome. I have an amazing wife who is, but really, to be 1,000% honest, puts up with a lot of bullshit from me in the span of our relationship and our marriage. And I haven't always been the best husband, and the part of it was the way I was raised, and part of it was being too stupid and naive to really appreciate all of the things that like kind of come around with being in a relationship with somebody, especially when that person is like a super person. I mean, like essentially like a superhero. It's ridiculous, like the things my wife does and the things that like she's accomplished in her life, and the things that she does for our kids, and like making them have like the best childhoods they could possibly have. It's really awesome to see like how her background has brought her to where she's at, and how she parents, and like it's like a very full circle type of awareness that, like, I guess you don't get until you're much older, when you think everything's like so small, and like, or where like now I think a lot of things are very small, and like day by day, and I've had 36 years of life, and my totally different viewpoint than like when you're 18, which is like an entire lifetime from 18 to 36, on top of like what you've lived, and you learn a lot in that span, where like you can actually like kind of like start to see like, you know what, it's not all about me, or it's not all about this thing, or it's not all about the quick way and stuff like that. So been thinking a lot about that. I've been listening to, obviously, like a lot of like, I listen to a lot of podcasts, but like just like in thinking about things, I have a lot of patience now, a lot more than I used to have, and it goes for everything. It goes for trying to like improve my marriage, improve being as being a father, improve being creative, whether it's making graphics or animations, or there's time for that stuff, and or like, you know, job offers that like could potentially be in the future, or things that like you're waiting on and hoping come around, or like thinking could come around, or potential possibilities, or businesses, or whatever it is. There's time, and as you think through those things, you really like kind of, I guess, like for me at least, I start to think of like how much more time I have. So like a lifetime ago was 18 for me. Now I'm 36. A lifetime from today is going to be 72, and I'm still going to be kicking, and I'm still going to be busting my butt, and I'm still probably going to be hopefully creating some of the most amazing things that I've ever created. And in doing so, maybe changing the course of like design or animation, or creating something cool. Like, who knows what the future holds, but like there is an immense amount of time to achieve all those things. So I've really been thinking about that, and how like a sports life, say I were to have like been a professional baseball player, like my professional career would be just about wrapping up, or have already wrapped up. And I'd be, in a sense, a lifetime over, right? Like my lifetime would be over, and then I'd have to figure out what Act 2 is, right? So like, in a weird way, I feel like renewed by seeing somebody that I know go out and achieve that World Series championship at 36, knowing that, like, you know, that is very well could be like the last great accomplishment of his career. He could call it quits. He could continue to play. Who knows, right? But he's going to be thinking about what he can do next, and like what's going to be next for him. And there's always a next, right? So why not continue to move and continue to grow, and to have patience with some of this stuff, and not everything good comes overnight. So a lot of introspection going on in my life. I don't often like to talk much about like deeper things like that, but like I'm a very big believer in I was put here to do something really cool, and I haven't always figured out what that is, or don't always have a clear view on what that is, but I've let my instincts take over in more situations as I've become an adult, and they've oftentimes led me in a better direction. And as I come to a short change here for like diet and exercise to end out this year, and also like the things that like I want to achieve, and like the work schedule I want to like put in, and the things I want to be creative about, and the things I want to like put my time and energy in, whether that be at home or projects for like creative purposes or like side projects or whatever. It's just all been like a very like full circle, like in taking down stock of like what I have and where I want to go. So I kind of encourage everyone to do that sort of. And I get a lot of that stuff from like watching sports. I know, like, to bring it back to that. You think of like these windows that like these athletes have, and they're very small. And you know, sometimes you don't even know like what, you know, the next play could be the last one. You know, like your career could be as long or short, basically, as you know, anyone who's come before you. It could be a couple games, it could be a couple snaps, or it could be years, like Tom Brady. I mean, you just never know. And so kind of being cautiously patient. Don't know what the window looks like, right? Like, I mean, the window could be anything. It could be making a time where you have this, you feel like it just got to happen now. But it doesn't have to happen now. It could mean there's a reason why it's not happening now. Maybe that reason is because it's not supposed to happen now, because you're supposed to add something to your skill set or whatnot. So I think of that as I do need some change in my life, and I do desire some change in like job and career and my physical well-being and my mental well-being and all that stuff. But it doesn't have to happen today, and it's going to happen when it needs to happen, and I'm going to be ready for those when they do happen. So, yeah, that's kind of the things I think of. This has kind of been a podcast where you listen and you're probably just listening to, and maybe this doesn't apply to you. Maybe this one won't be for you. Maybe it'll connect to you. Maybe it'll ring true for something that's going on in your personal life. But these are the kind of things I think about. I think about a lot of deep things, you know, when it comes to, you know, job creativity, like my home life, my wife, what she thinks about me, my kids, what they think about me. Am I showing up in the right ways? And I'm definitely far from perfect. But sometimes it takes just that one thing, and it's patience. Not everything can be fixed today, but you can get a little bit better today. So it's kind of to wrap it up. I'll listen to the Pat McAfee show today, and they had the Minnesota coach on, and sort of the sentiment that I was already feeling on my drive in. And I typically don't listen to podcasts on my drive in to work. Usually I don't turn anything on, but for some reason I wanted to drown out some of the noise in my head this morning, and that was something that stuck with me. Being 1% or being a little bit better than you were yesterday, and eventually you'll get there. It's that the attack mentality, and there is a little bit of patience that has to be there, but like being in control and putting yourself and knowing that it's going to happen. You just gotta. Sometimes it's a waiting game, and sometimes but it happens for a reason. You continue to put the hard work in, and you'll get there. So, yeah, that's the end of this episode. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it. Comment on Twitter at Swiss Army Man Pod. I'll post this link for this. Comment below if you like these kind of things, and maybe I'll do them a little bit more. Yeah, it's something I really enjoy, is just kind of talking and expressing how I feel sometimes, and what's going on, and maybe that can help somebody. I've had a few instances lately where I've actually sat or been able to like talk with some people and give them advice, or point them in the right direction, or like give them some words of encouragement. And I think sometimes people need that. Sometimes people are feel alone and they're not. So, and I have to remember that myself sometimes. Sometimes I feel alone, and I realize I'm not. I have a lot of cool, awesome friends in real life, and also like people that I've met through like podcasting communities and stuff that I can always go lean on if I really need to. So, yeah. So hopefully you'll like it. Subscribe on YouTube. Follow us on Twitter at Swiss Army Man Pod. Follow me on Twitter. It's at Patch of Black DFS. Yeah, and look forward to talking to you again soon. All right, have a good day.